So June of this year would be 4 years since the last time I was in medical school. Here in a few months, I'll be back to medical school starting 5th semester over again, which is absolutely insane. So what I wanted to do is sort of talk a little bit about my mindset and what I've been thinking about when it comes to studying. Now, the main purpose for 5th semester with the school I'm going to is essentially to prep you for clinical years and then also to prep you for USMLE Step 1. As most of you probably already know, there's 3 different licensing exams in medical school. Well, the first 2 typically are taken in med school, and then Step 3, you can take it while in med school or right before starting your residency program. That's what usually most people do. So several years ago, I did medical school, and that was covered in a different video. This video, I sort of want to talk a little bit about what I've been thinking about on how to sort of, close the loop when it comes to education or it comes to reviewing the material. A lot of people will take 3 months, 6 months of dedicated time to sort of study and prep for Step 1. Now, for me, it's a little bit different. It's been 4 years since the last time I was in school. So I kind of have to review some of the basics, kind of really ramp up the review of certain things that were already there before. And I need to make sure I have all this knowledge, or at least something that I can just pull quickly from while I'm getting closer to those last couple of months of dedicated study. So for the next 4 months, or 3.5 months before classes start again, I'm going to be working on a few different things. And I wanted to show you exactly what I'm studying, or sort of the materials that I'm studying, and sort of the process that I'm taking to ensure that I'm as prepped as possible for 5th semester. And then if I do have some time here, I'll talk a little bit about 5th semester in med school. It's going to be up in Maine. I'm going to be attending University of Medicine and Health Sciences. So 5th semester is up in Maine, and then once that's done, then we kind of move to clinical rotations, and that's it. Hopefully, if everything goes as planned, I'll be graduating in 2028. Now, so let me go ahead and share my screen and show you some of the stuff that I'm going to be using. And the entire goal of this is to keep it as simple as possible. Back in the day, I remember when I was at AUA, I spent a lot of money on all different resources. I wanted to make sure I covered everything, and it was a little too much, I think. So I'm going to try to keep everything very, very simple this time around. I think that's the goal. And then give you some ideas on what I'm planning for each of them. So number 1, obviously it's first aid. My goal is to ensure that I cover all, I think it's like 800, 900, I don't know. It's a lot of pages in there. So I'm reviewing everything from front to cover and make sure that I am exposing myself or re-exposing myself to all the material in there. I've already started this process. It's going really well. Thankfully, I'm remembering a lot of stuff, and I'm actually just enjoying going through the material. I really was not a huge fan of biochemistry in the past. Even some parts of immunology, I get it, but then I would forget it because it's just not that interesting. And I'm going through micro right now, and I'm just enjoying it. So going through it again, it's really interesting because I thought I wouldn't, it would take a lot for me to remember all this stuff, but thankfully it's all coming to me, or a lot of it is, and it's sticking, and I feel like, I'm grasping the material as if I was in med school. So that's a good sign. So that's the plan for that. So I'm spending a certain period of time each and every single day. Right now, we're doing between 4 and 5 hours of reading first aid. Now, as you know, reading is very low yield as far as like retaining the information and understanding it. I am spending this time to go through it from beginning to end as exposure. I need to re-expose myself to all this information. And that's the goal with that. So I'm doing that around 4 to 5 hours per day with the hopes of finishing it here. I'm giving myself around a month to finish all of first aid. So reading it, going through it, not speeding through it, just slowly going through it and understanding the material as I go through it. Now, that's first aid. If you look to the right side of the screen here, you see Anki. This is where I'm spending the rest of my time, or most of my time, let me say that. around 3 to 3.5 hours each day. My goal is to eventually shift this where I start doing more Anki than I do first aid as I start finishing first aid, and improving the number of cards. So the goal right now is between 100 and 300 cards or flashcards each and every single day. I think there's a happy medium somewhere around 250 to 500. I don't want to burn out on Anki, but I think it's great exposure, and this whole spatial, style of, learning the material, going over the material. It's almost like you're doing mini questions, right? So, when you go through this, it's almost like it's making you or forcing you to answer a question, right? So like this question, this, prompt right here: in the blood, chylomicrons pick up apoprotein C2 and E from circulating HDL. I think the chylomicrons was absent before this, and you click space and boom, it shows the information, right? So you actually have to think as you're going through it. And it's so far been really helpful. It's been really helpful with the biochemistry. And then of course I'm gonna start adding in immunology, micropathology, pharm. Just as I go through first aid, I'm going to start releasing the rest of those components into the Anki cards. I don't want to do completely random right now because I haven't fully been exposed or re-exposed to information in first aid yet. So this is the process that I'm taking right now. Again, this is different than most people, I think, with dedicated, because you've already just gone through this, right? You've gone through 2 years of dedicated hard work. For me, it's been 4 years since I was last in med school. So I need to sort of re-expose myself and kind of go through this process to make sure I understand what it is that I'm going through. So next, there's this Boards and Beyond, the preclinical. I haven't started this yet. I'm planning on starting this probably in around 3 weeks. I want to go through all the preclinical videos, make sure I understand all the concepts. I'm a huge visual learner. I love watching videos. I like diagrams. I like charts. I like seeing it. So exposure first, and then really manipulating the information into a way that's very understandable for quick recall with the use of Anki, and then sources like Boards and Beyond, which will be the main source for videos for me to watch and to not just completely be bored with the information. I want to see some videos. So this is in around 3 weeks. We're going to start at an hour each day, and then that's slowly going to start increasing as we bring down the number of hours for first aid that we're studying first aid. So the majority of the stuff that we will be doing for a period of time will be Boards and Beyond videos and Anki, and then we're going to start evolving that to a couple other things. It's going to be USMLE Step 1 UWorld, as you see over here. This is huge. I use this all the time when I was at AUA back in the day. It was super helpful. And there's 3,600 plus questions for Step 1 on UWorld. My goal is to go through all of this. I think the questions are great. The QBank is great. The explanations are great. And what I want to do is start with probably 20 per day, and then slowly increase that to 30, and then 40, and then start doing those 40 question set blocks. And really focus on trying to gather as much information from the answers, explanations as possible, and then bring that information to my first aid book, right? It's not going to be a huge amount of work, but it's going to be like, is there any nuggets of solid, huge, great, high yield information that would be really helpful in the future? And I'm just going to notate that. Or I'm going to print it out, or take a picture and print it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something. I'm going to extract that information and put it in my first aid book. And the goal is to get through all these 3,600 plus questions before May 12th. I start fifth semester May 12th of this year. Right now it's January 26th. The goal is to get through all these questions by then, because, and actually probably a week before then, because I want to take my first diagnostic the beginning of May, and then kind of go from there and start doing those practice CBSE exams, and I'll kind of go through that in another video. But UWorld will take over as the main source of information with a resource to back it up of first aid with all the information in there. My goal is to at least do 2.5 passes of UWorld before actually taking step 1, because like everyone, you kind of want to pass this on first go. Now, throughout this process, starting around 3 weeks, maybe about a month, I'm going to start supplementing this with 2 different things. That's going to be something that I just learned about, which is this YouTube channel is called Dirty Medicine. And it looks like they have almost 1 million subscribers. It has a lot of information on here, but I'm really just going to focus on this 36 video playlist for biochemistry and genetics. I have heard really good things about this, so I really want to make sure my biochemistry is top notch. And then for pharmacology, I'm going to do Sketchy, but just Sketchy Pharm, and just focus on that, and that's it. Just want to make sure the pharmacology is down. Those are the biggest things. And then towards the end, or once I start Med 5, I'm going to really bring in Pathoma. I've already gone through Pathoma. I've already gone through the videos, gone through everything. I've notated the book to death. So all I have to do is essentially just read through it. Love it. Has incredible information, super high yield information about pathology. So that's the goal with that. And then throughout this whole thing, of course, just doing Anki, making sure I'm maintaining the number of Anki slides, the flashcards. So that's it. That's pretty much the goal. I want to keep it as simple as possible. I don't think I'm going to add anything else into this. I think that's all I need. I want to make sure that, I'm mastering information. I'm testing myself. I'm making sure I understand it, and try to hit that 80% of, hey, do I understand 80% of this, right? Do I understand 80% of this section? Do I understand 80% of GI? That's my goal. Because if you get a 65 on that CBSE, then you're 95% certain that you're going to pass. My goal is to get a 75 or 80 on a CBSE before I take the actual thing. And, I'm excited about this. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to just getting this done. So if you have any questions or if you have any advice, let me know. In the next few videos, I'm probably going to be releasing kind of like my schedule and kind of the stuff that I'm going to be studying. And if I find that it's really helpful, then, definitely recommend use it, play with it, adjust it to your style, your study style. And so that's pretty much it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm going to get back to studying. So bye.